In the heart of Mesopotamia, where the Euphrates flowed past towering ziggurats and bustling markets, there existed a city whose name has echoed through time, Babylon. It was a place of dazzling wealth, architectural marvels, and astonishing sophistication. But beneath the grand facades and stone inscriptions lay a world of intimate customs and sacred ceremonies that few today truly understand. I'm William, and today we step quietly into that hidden world, a place where devotion to the gods was entwined with rituals of passion, and where the boundaries between the sacred and the sensual blurred into something unique, powerful, and deeply human. In ancient Babylonian belief, fertility was not merely a personal matter. It was the foundation of life, prosperity, and divine favor. To ensure the land remained fertile and the people blessed, certain rites were performed in temples dedicated to powerful deities such as Ishtar, goddess of love, war, and fertility. These rituals were not hushed or hidden in the way later societies might imagine. They were celebrated, woven into the fabric of civic and spiritual life. Yet the truth is even more astonishing. Many of these ceremonies were deliberately charged with sensual energy, their purpose to invoke divine pleasure as a way of securing abundance for the community. The priests and priestesses of Ishtar understood that in Babylon's worldview, physical intimacy mirrored the cosmic union between gods and goddesses, a reenactment of divine creation itself. Visitors to the city during certain festivals might witness processions of richly adorned women, their garments flowing with embroidered symbols of fertility, pomegranates, doves, and lotus flowers. Some would enter the great temple, where music and incense transformed the air into a heady mixture of reverence and desire. Here, chosen priestesses served as living embodiments of the goddess, participating in rites that bound human longing to divine purpose. One such ceremony was the so-called sacred marriage. During this rite, the king himself would symbolically unite with the high priestess of Ishtar. This act was believed to renew the king's divine mandate to rule and to ensure the fertility of the land for the year ahead. It was not viewed as scandalous, but as a holy duty, an offering to the gods as much as to the people. The full story behind this might surprise you, because these practices were not about indulgence for its own sake. They were rooted in a worldview where pleasure was a bridge to the divine, and where the human body was honored as a vessel of cosmic power. Even ordinary citizens might, during festival times, take part in symbolic acts of union, gestures meant to align themselves with the blessings of the gods. But the ceremonies were also layered with political and social meaning. For the rulers of Babylon, public displays of sacred intimacy reinforced their role as intermediaries between heaven and earth. For the priesthood, they reaffirmed their spiritual authority. And for the people, they were a reminder that the divine touched every part of life, from the sowing of crops to the bonds of love. Still, not all of Babylon's neighbors viewed these rituals kindly. To more conservative cultures, the openness of such practices seemed shocking. And in the centuries that followed, as new religions reshaped the region, these rites were often recast in whispers of decadence and moral decline. Yet within Babylon's own time, they were acts of devotion, complex, symbolic, and deeply woven into the city's identity. And as we explore further, you'll see how these sensual ceremonies reveal not only the values of a great civilization, but also its most intimate hopes and fears. Over time, the sacred spaces of Babylon became repositories of layered meaning. Part sanctuary, part theatre, part political stage. The walls of Ishtar's temple were said to gleam with precious metals, while carved reliefs depicted scenes of divine lovers and celestial unions. These images were not decoration alone, they served as constant reminders of the intimate bond between the mortal world and the divine. The high priestesses, often women of remarkable education and influence, were central to these rites. They were trained not only in ritual practice, but also in poetry, music, and the complex theology that linked physical union with cosmic harmony. When they took part in sacred ceremonies, they did so with the weight of both tradition and divine symbolism on their shoulders. Ordinary Babylonians engaged with this world in smaller but still meaningful ways. During great festivals, most notably the New Year celebrations, streets would fill with music, feasting, and dancing. Couples might offer symbolic tokens of fertility at temple gates, or whisper prayers for love and prosperity beneath the shadow of the ziggurat. In these moments, the city itself seemed to transform into a living embodiment of its goddess, yet the truth is even more layered. Beneath the celebratory atmosphere, these rites also reinforced Babylon's social order. Participation was a privilege, and the most prominent roles were reserved for those of noble or priestly lineage. The sacred marriage between king and priestess was as much a public affirmation of power as it was a spiritual union. Each gesture, each offering, sent a message about who held the favor of the gods, and by extension, the right to rule. As centuries passed and Babylon's fortunes shifted, the city's intimate rituals came under scrutiny. Foreign conquerors, unfamiliar with the symbolic heart of these traditions, misinterpreted them, sometimes deliberately twisting their meaning to paint Babylon as decadent or corrupt. These accounts, filtered through the eyes of rivals, would come to dominate how later generations viewed the city's sensual legacy. But within the stones of the old temples, a different story lingered. It was a story of a people who saw beauty and desire as sacred forces, who believed the act of union could echo the creation of the world itself. Theirs was a worldview in which the human heart and body were threads in the same tapestry as the stars and the gods. Today, as we look back, we can see in these rituals not only the sensual splendor that so fascinated later historians, but also the profound seriousness with which the Babylonians approached their relationship to the divine. It was a culture unafraid to weave intimacy into its highest expressions of faith, a reminder that, for them, love and life were never separate from the sacred. And in that, perhaps, lies the truest legacy of Babylon's erotic rituals, a testament to the enduring human desire to connect deeply with one another and with something greater than ourselves.